Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
We are on episode 2 of a Lital-less Didi and Lital. We are here with Denis, who used to be my partner and sister wife, in building a whole bunch of cool stuff together between RSA and Cisco. And we created the development process that we covered in the previous episode together. And if you really want to think of how to build better software in the age of AI, go listen to that episode. And this is chapter 2. Chapter 2, we're going to discuss Denis's new adventure, which is called D2. It's a really cool software company, and we're going to talk about the problem that it solves and the stuff that it does. But before we do this, we are going to talk about sports a little bit. Why? Because this is why I get the show done. To talk with producer Dave and a couple of other people about sports. Now, Denis...
When the missus isn't here to limit you.
Exactly. Exactly. So, Colin, Matt, the rest of you that don't like the sports part, skip ahead. Skip ahead. So first and foremost...
Do I get to skip ahead as well?
No. You need to come in on your commentary on which team do you wanted to win the World Cup, and what did you think of the World Cup?
Which team I want to win? It changed over time, right? Depending who's still in and who's still, who's out. I generally like the Netherlands team because it's a small country, right? Always has a good soccer team, but never managed to win the cup. So I tend to root for them. Germany, because I used to live in Germany, and it's funny. I consider them the strong team, but
they lost to Paraguay.
So. Well, I thought so because I'm old, right? So when they lost, I'm like, oh, they didn't make the quarterfinal. And then somebody's like, look, they didn't make quarterfinal 4 years ago, and 4 years before that. I'm like, really? I looked it up, and it's true, right? They just totally didn't get anywhere. And the last time that happened, the 3 times aside was like in the 1930s.
Yeah.
So, them. And then towards the end, too, I want England to win. They have won the cup once before. In 62, so something like that. And it would have been interesting. I think it would have been really interesting if England wins. Yes, it's a repeat win, but I didn't want it to be Spain or France or Argentina, really. Portugal, I've been happy with Portugal. So I'd say like those are the teams I was rooting for throughout different parts of the World Cup.
Yeah. England won in 1966.
66, yeah.
So see, the Beatles left and everything went to shit.
Yes. Well, there was the famous hand of God goal, which I loved.
Yeah. That was England was the loser in that one?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Maradona scored with a hand above the goalie that was like 6'5", and Maradona is the size of the table.
So it's known for like that match, I think, for 2 pieces, right?
Yes.
One is the hand of God, but then he had another goal, right?
Yes.
Which was called the goal of the century.
Yeah. Where he went end to end.
Yeah, when he went end to end and scored.
Yes.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, mine was an emotional roller coaster. I started non-committed, and I couldn't care less.
Really?
Yes.
And you didn't root for the U.S.?
No. Because look, the reality says, when you have no goalie, you're going to lose in these cups. And the only thing we're good at was goalies. In the last episode, I wanted us to stick Hellebuck in net. He's taller than our current goalie. He's better at stopping pucks. Look, he stopped McJesus a couple of times. So stick Hellebuck in goal. He's probably going to do a better job. So as soon as I knew we didn't have a goalie, I didn't believe that we're going to get anywhere. Then I had the emotional roller coaster.
But it's not believe who's going to win. It's who you want to.
But you need to have some believability, so you'll commit it. And then they pounce on Paraguay, and they beat the other, and they won so well, and they won with the red card against
Belgium.
No, Bosnia.
Sorry, Bosnia.
Yes, and by the way, as soon as the guy got the red card, 2 people basically texted the world and said, Trump is going to fix this.
And guess what?
And guess what? And then they fell on their face. And then I said, you know what? Let me believe in Norway. That basically...
Yeah, Norway, that was another good one, yeah.
Basically,
Yeah,
because we're
that would've been
Vikings.
awesome.
Because
Yeah.
we are Vikings. We're supposed to be for Norway. And I liked how they're drumming. And then they fell on their face against
Yeah.
England. And I said, you know what? Harry Kane deserves one. Another wet fart. In losing in the last 2 minutes. So
you're in the same bucket. It's a long story, but really none of the teams you want to win made it anywhere.
no, it was an emotional roller coaster because initially I started with no emotional commitment, and then every time I committed to a team, and then they sucked. The only thing that I even got wrong was like Doron and I were talking through the England versus France game that started like 4-0 for England, and then the second period showed up and the French scored.
It was like a hockey game.
It was like a hockey game. And I tell Doron, it looks like it's going to be 6-4 France, and then it became 6-4 England. But still, that was a much more fun game than the final, I feel. So,
Yeah.
so we got our...
Well, the final was kind of, I mean, great. Spain deserved to win, certainly, right? They kept on putting pressure and kept on trying to score and kept on having shots on goal, right? If Argentina would have equalized in those like last minutes where actually, almost had a good setup, almost had a shot, it would have been kind of unfair, but it would have been funny, but would certainly have been a little bit unfair.
Life is not fair. Look, we've seen the Montreal Canadiens basically do that to our teams multiple times. I think they got to almost the final, the Canadian with basically, 9 shots on goal in one game. And they still won it. So sometimes you need luck. And,
luck is part of the game, certainly.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the sports update. Oh, the Red Sox are winning. Or are they losing
How
again?
about that? Nope. Well, they've won. They took the last series 2 out of 3.
Yep.
They are just a few games behind the Yankees. Are you back on the bandwagon, Didi, or were you ever really on the bandwagon?
I'm never on the bandwagon. It's not really a sport. It's a pastime.
I didn't know baseball was playing right now. So.
I am going to go watch Tim McGraw in Fenway.
Oh, nice.
So I am investing in Fenway.
Have you seen a show at Fenway before?
Of course.
Okay.
I saw remember when they had the bunch of metal groups? They had Poison, they had
Def Leppard,
yeah. And they had Motley Crue. Motley Crue was almost the closing on this one.
Mm-hmm.
It was like one before last, and Tommy Lee didn't realize that the vibe has shifted, and he goes on stage and says, "Boston, I'm used to seeing some titties."
Read the room, Tommy.
Read the room, Tommy, buddy. That was a while back. That's a while. And a shared friend of ours, Joe, he works for Denis, and he's like a close to 60-year-old guy from Winthrop. He basically said, the worst thing that could have happened is some 60-year-old lady would have shown him that.
Right. Dude.
So we don't know what would have been the better outcome. So I have seen shows. I also saw Guns N' Roses there, although in Gillette the sound was better. I saw them twice, once there and once in Gillette.
Yeah, I just think Fenway is a rough place to watch a show. Once you get beyond the fact that it's kind of cool that it's this old ballpark, the acoustics aren't very good.
The acoustics are terrible.
Yeah,
but Tim McGraw can carry a lot of things. And by the way, a good metal band can do wonders. Like Journey got the acoustics almost perfect.
Oh, nice. All right.
So we talked about sports. We talked about music. I think we checked our boxes. Now tell us, what does D2 do?
So D2 helps you adopt AI by removing security as a blocker. And, digging level down, what does that mean? If what we all want to do, what all organizations face a lot of pressure to do is to adopt AI. and to adopt AI to get this incredible productivity gains that you can, get by leveraging it correctly. And we talked about some of that actually on the previous show,
Yep.
on the previous recording. But in order to do that, you have to give AI access to all of your systems, access to all of your data, and not superficial access. It gets like deep in there, and it does what you do. It accesses what you do, and that's certainly scary, right? It's scary to CISOs and InfoSec teams. It's scary to individuals as AI reads that data and takes actions on that data, modifies that data, deletes that data. What if it screws something up, right? Not necessarily maliciously, because it's trying to reach a goal that you set it, and it decide as part of reaching that goal, let me drop the production database, right? That has happened. Or let me, take all of this confidential data and make it available somewhere on the web, or email it to somebody who shouldn't have it. Or maybe it is malicious, right? Because it was tricked to do that. There's a lot of risk to AI that we continuously uncover as security practitioners. And there's a lot of risk about the AI technology we still don't know, don't understand. We don't, because it's a new technology, right? And it will take some time for security professionals to catch up and identify everything that it can do that's undesirable. So how do you adopt AI when you have all of these risks? And at D2, we believe it's all about policy, right? Policy that governs what AI, what agents can and cannot do.
You're not saying the magic words. Learn the marketing thing. You need to start by saying, we are an intent-based policy company.
Yeah, and it comes, and what happens is that these policies, Didi is alluding, need to evolve.
Yes.
Because what makes agents really, really useful is that they can do a lot of things and come up with creative ways to solve your problems. But that also makes it really difficult to govern them. And existing security controls that were built for humans, they don't work on agents. And we need to, think through like new controls, new approaches to constrain these agents. And we're building intent-based policies. So you express intent of what you want to happen. And then we translate to the underlying controls and make sure that as agents take certain actions, as they do something on your behalf, or if they do something autonomously, they can't take an action that's outside of the intent of the agent's plan, intent of the agent's purpose, intent of what the company is trying to do. And it's a new way to govern agents, right? It's much more user-friendly and accessible to define policies, but still like create security to constrain them in a deterministic way. So that's our mission, right? Our mission is about policies, build intent-based policies, make it easy to create them, make it easy to modify them, and have a product that helps our customers continuously evolve these policies to increase security efficacy and applicability. And I believe, that's what it will take to give agents all this unfettered access that we want to grant to them.
I think that you need to talk to the audience a little bit when you talk about this is, how do you deploy your technology? How does it work? Where does it stop? Talk about a use case.
Sure.
Like the best use case that I liked is the one that you talked about with Rick.
Yeah, sure. I'll pick the use case of Claude Cowork because it's fairly new, right? Anthropic released it late last year, and a lot of organizations adopting Claude. A lot of organizations specifically adopting Claude Cowork. And you get a license. You get a license to Claude. You can ask some questions. That's great. But the very next thing you want to do is you want to connect Claude to your internal collaboration systems, to your internal accounting system, whatever it may be. And, one of the use cases that we're solving, somebody came to us and said, look, my entire workforce wants Claude Cowork, and they want to connect Claude Cowork. It was a financial institution, wants to connect to the emails. On the surface, that sounds fine. But the person's like, no, not really, because there's a lot of information in email that is strictly confidential, right? We have a lot of financial information there. We have legal information that has attorney-client privilege. We have emails that came from our friends and family, which are personal and maybe might even be embarrassing. So can you create some policies that constrain what Claude can do as it reaches out to emails? And we did, right? And the many different policies that we went through and we included for that particular customer, including, hey, don't let Claude see anything that is more than 2 months old. Because, sometimes you want to search through your email archive that maybe was built over the past decade. But most of the time you don't, right? You want Claude to read through all the emails that are coming in, recent conversations, and reply to them. Don't let Claude see any emails that say attorney-client privilege, right? Let users apply categories to emails, either saying, privilege or higher privilege, in which case Claude doesn't see it. Or, we had one use case where it says, okay, only let it see emails that are in a specific folder. Only let it see emails that were marked as AI accessible. And let Claude, author emails, but not send them. So they sit in your draft folder. And that's just an example of emails. And you plug in, your OneDrive, you plug in Box, and you have exactly the same problem, right? You have data there, and some data is appropriate for AI to access and some are not. And how do you start building the restrictions? So you asked me how we deploy. That's easy enough.
Do you have a gateway?
We have a gateway. We have a gateway that gets installed, sits between Claude and underlying applications, and enforces policy. We got the deployment down to where it takes minutes to do, whether you want to download the gateway and just run it locally on your machine, you want to have it hosted by us, or you want to download it and host it within your enterprise. And to make policies easier to maintain, to create, we've done two things. One is we have a plugin for, Claude can be used with any agent that includes skills and MCP interface in our product. So you come in, describe in natural language what kind of policy you want, what you want to block. And the email example, it would be as simple as, hey, I don't want Claude to see any emails that are more than 60 days old. And then our plugin goes through, creates a policy, adds tests for it, validates it, attaches to the gateway, deploys it, and then tests again to make sure that the undesired emails don't come through or that the policy is effective. Furthermore, if you want to get started with existing policies for applications you may have, from HubSpot, Salesforce, Outlook, Drive, whatever, we have a catalog of policies that you can just download and use. And that's something we put in open source. So you can take them, you can modify them, you can submit changes to them, and we can involve it as a community. But what we are all about is making this policy journey very simple. The idea is that you should not have to hire additional staff, that you should not have to learn new technologies, but that you lean on D2, lean on our products, to give you agent governance that is sophisticated, yet easy to manage.
So, do you have any cool stories to tell about how the deployment will work? What's the core value of the deployments?
I mean, I have cool stories, of course. One of the questions people ask me is, well, what if Claude starts or AI starts to work around it, right, and try to sneak in through different channels? And it happens, right? Like we create a policy that's supposed to block something, and it does. And then we validate it and we say, hey, Claude, can you get this information? One common one is stripping out PII data. So, I do a lot of demos with like Atlassian products like Jira, where I have tickets that have PII data should be stripped out, or I have, projects within Jira that shouldn't be visible to people. And then I, deploy the policy and say, hey, Claude, go through it. And then, sometimes it's find some new call, new API way to get in, but that's cool. Then I say, great, you got in. Now help me modify that policy so you can't do that anymore. And then policy just becomes stronger. Sometimes it's kind of funny too. Customers are using this, and then we get dinged for something that's entirely outside of our control too. It's like, well, I want Claude to do the following, and I want to use this font in my email, but it's not. Like, well, we don't really prevent certain fonts from being used. It's just but we'll help you create a skill, right? Yep. To work around it. The key here is not just to push policies centrally as a security organization, IT organization. All those organizations are well aware of that if you push draconian policies to your workforce, you just get complaints up until the point where you need to rip the product out or rip the solution out. You have to find a way to
let the water flow.
You have to find to kind of have the end user be a partner in it.
Yes.
That's why things such as, okay, let's allow users, I'll go back to emails, works for files, for whatever you want, but let's allow them to mark certain data. Let's say, put a category in the email says that's confidential so Claude can see it. Now it becomes a shared responsibility, right? You start treating your employees, your workforce as adults, where you say, look, there's certain things we're going to block centrally, but by the way, we have these policies that let you decide what you want to make available to AI and you don't. And people who have a lot of privileged access, who maybe have worked for the company for a long time, and that's why they have this access, they tend to be careful too, right? They're not, the intern who you hired like 6 weeks ago doesn't have access to anything, just wants to get everything to AI. And having a product that can help you create that partnership is I think also important, and whatever solution you roll out.
Cool. What else do you want to tell everybody that listens, all the hundreds of thousands of listeners?
All the hundreds of thousands of listeners?
Yes.
Look, we're rolling out now feature where you can sign up yourself for D2, use the product for free. So deploy it, apply policies, and see how it works for you. So if you try it out, or do try it out, give us feedback. Let us know what's working, what's not working. Just go to www.d2.ai and follow links from that. It's we want to make it. One of our goals is to make it as simple as possible to deploy and use. And if you get stuck on anything or you believe something is not quite right, we absolutely want to start making changes and, help you out.
What do you define as your coolest IP?
I think intent-based policies is the coolest IP because it's a shift on how policies work. We published a white paper on it recently. The patents that we did file were all around intent-based policies. In fact, I have more patents I like to file on it if I get to sit down and actually write them up. Because who always solves this intent-based policies or just behavioral-based policies, it's really going to solve the security piece of agents. Until that's solved, it's going to be really, really hard to do anything with agents. Like all this static RBAC rules, right? Or just static policies. You can call this tool, you cannot call that tool, or you can pass this argument, but not that argument. It starts breaking down very quickly as complexity increases, as interconnectivity of application increases. And that's a success path for agents. Success path for agents is like they have access to more and more things. So you have to shift to intent-based policies, and that's where we're making a big bet on.
That's really cool. One of the things that I also like is the ability to separate the policy decision point and the policy enforcement point.
Yeah.
Because I think the policy enforcement point, people will be fighting tooth and nail for this, but it's really hard to sell it without both. I think the winner technology this is why I like what you guys are doing, is that you give a policy enforcement point, but you sell the policy decision point.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So there's a lot of policy enforcement points. So for us, the gateway is policy enforcement point. You might have something that enforces what CLIs can go through, what APIs can be called, and many people will build it, and it's a good battleground. But our battleground is policy. So whatever your policy enforcement point is, we will, put our policy inside of it, and we'll have our sophisticated policy evaluation that's intent-based. And the success path here is, any policy enforcement point would be integrated with our policy decision point. And then architecture, it also means for companies that build their own, agentic, API, expose their own agentic workflows, they could integrate with D2 and not have to build their authorization layers and have them centrally managed and central visibility into what agents are doing. Policy decision, policy, PDP, PAP, policy authoring point. These are the key pieces that you're solving.
Also, I think that it's really valuable to share with the audience. How big is your team?
There's 6 of us. There's 6 of us, and it's funny, as we got funded and we started working on it, I of course had an engineering plan of how we want to hire, who we want to hire, and I had this plan of hiring a new engineer every month. And then the team started, everybody started. I knew him from before, right? So they all lined day one. And I never hired another engineer because every month I feel like we get productivity gain from AI, from how we leverage it, where we have one more person worth of throughput who we need to bring on. And that's really exciting.
That's really cool. Also, the other thing that's really cool is we built stuff together. How do you measure this compared to other companies? Because I'll give you an example. It's
a great question. I'm starting to, but it's so different. Look, this is the 5th startup that I'm part of, and it is the 3rd startup that I'm doing from the ground up, and maybe 4th product within the startup building from the ground up. And when I look where we were each one of those times, this time, this many months in, it's so much less that worked, right? And so much less capabilities. It's so great to be building something today. You can just go so much faster, and you can create a real product that solves real problems, fairly quickly.
Yep. So I asked that question to tell the story of my
I see.
my side. So because you need a rest, the thing that I was thinking about, Oleg and I were thinking about this, that when we were building what was RSA Israel, you had a whole operations team that was dealing with racking and stacking of servers and all that stuff. And we were dealing with every planning of every bill was months in advance, because you had to have Oracle, and you had to have storage, and you had to have Sun machines and all that stuff. And all these things required people to continuously manage them. And no matter how Oleg was amazing at making sure that you need to be really stupid to fuck it up, we found really, really stupid people to fuck it up. And
Yeah, I mean, you're going now way back, pre-cloud, you know, I mean, when people used to build data centers, right?
Yes.
And everything was just so expensive, right?
Yes.
Because you need to get all this gear, you need to get it in, and it was so slow.
yes. And then when we built CDO, if you remember how fast we moved, like our rate limiting thing was, how do we test against the Cisco hardware that we were building against? This was like the only thing that was slowing us down. And we still had a team of 20 because we needed the CI/CD and we needed to manage a lot of these things.
And back then we looked and it's like, oh my God, we're going so fast. We were, right? It was like all this benefit and productivity that came through, you know, cloud and public clouds and how you could build, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm looking back and it's, you know, so slow. Now it's, you know, you can do much faster.
And that's the other thing. I was looking also at the tooling and the processes, because like when we were building Ort, we were already learning from all that stuff. And I had Team Awesome, and we had like a product. If you remember, we demoed stuff to you in October when we had like 2 or 3 months of coding. And you said, that's a toy. And then,
and then a few months later, it's like, oh my God, it's a real product.
It's a real product. But I'm looking at the gap between this and the weekly demos that I'm seeing from you. And it's like, wow. And I know how capable the team is, and it's still, wow.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the team that I was able to attract for the startup. They're all just incredible, much more incredible than I will ever be. So they just cranking, and it's great to see. And I mentioned it before. If you're not doing something exciting right now, quit and start doing something exciting. It's available to everybody. It's at our fingertips. The technology is there, and your imagination is a limiting factor.
So I want to wrap us up by saying, if you're looking into the void and asking for a wish, if somebody's going to listen to this, what do you want them to help you with? What help can I help? Or the void, or like somebody listening.
Look, always what's appreciated is people who can come in with critical eye, look our product, and give us feedback. Sometimes you're like, hey, how much money do you want from us? And I'm like, yeah, it's great to make money as a startup. My VCs might be upset what I say now, but it's meaningful usage. You come in, you start using it, you start challenging the product, and that's what will start making products great. And that's the biggest thing I appreciate at this stage of the company.
I think that also, if people want to partner with you for GTM is king.
Yeah, GTM. This is our, next leg of our startup journey is GTM. We actively looking for a GTM leader to join and partner with me to take the company forward. And it'll be the next exciting chapter of what we do.
Cool. Awesome. I think with this, we can wrap up.
All right. Thank you for having me on your show.
This is the Didi and Lital show without Lital, so nobody's looking at the monitor, straight up. And also, I don't remember what to say. This is a weekly show. Listen to and subscribe to us, something. Consider listening to us. Please listen to us, because this is like couples therapy, and I really need this.
But you said thousands and hundreds of thousands of listeners.
Yeah, in my dream. Yes. So please listen. At least we listen more than Omri gives us credit. So awesome. Thanks, everybody. Come listen, give us feedback, and review us. Thanks.
Thank you.